Coming up in today's brief, fresh pushback on new cocoa bill. We are learning of little to no consultation with cocoa farmers before its passage. Today we examine how the bill seeks to change the cocoa sector. But also this hour, Akpon shuts down for 3 days. Residents in many parts of the Greater Accra and Eastern regions must brace for water shortage as the water company embarks on routine maintenance works. Plus this hour, private schools question credibility of BECE results as they make damning claims of intentionally marking down private school candidates. Those are coming up here on the Daily Brief. I am Kemini Amano. You're welcome. We've seen the big stories for today's Daily Brief. Let's now bring you the summaries. Christabel has the very latest. Christabel.
Hello there. Welcome. My name is Christabel Success Trevor, bringing you the news summaries on the Daily Brief. Now, a commercial fire within the Tema industrial enclave has destroyed rubber products worth thousands of Ghana cedis. According to the Ghana National Fire Service, some firefighters were injured dousing the fire. Also in this bulletin, an 11-year-old has died of injuries sustained in Monday's fire on the Accra-Kumasi highway, bringing the death toll to 3. The accident, which occurred, left 2 occupants of the fuel tanker burnt beyond recognition and some 7 injured. Away from that, new governance data released by the Ghana Statistical Service has revealed that requests for unofficial payments to access public services rose sharply in the second half of 2025. According to the report, nearly 7 in 10 citizens who encountered bribery reported that public officials demanded extra payments. Finally, the President John Dramani Mahama says he will push for the Caribbean to be part of the African Continental Free Trade Area when he assumes office as the African Union chairman. He was speaking at a joint press conference with the Jamaican Prime Minister as part of his state visit to the Caribbean country. Well, those are the stories making it in the news summaries. Well, Kamini, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Christabel, for bringing us those summaries. Now, this hour, private schools question the credibility of the recently released BECE. National Council of Private Schools says the outcome of the basic school exams shows bias against private school candidates. The council's evidence, the marking scheme. The schools say it is skewed deliberately to favor candidates from public schools. Now, this observation has elicited a response from the Education Ministry. And I want to show you what the ministry has had to say on this. We know that the ministry has said that they plan to investigate this matter. But here's what the results have shown since the release of the results. In terms of malpractices, 496 candidates had subject results cancelled. 105 had their entire results cancelled. 119 candidates had subject to results withheld, and 48 candidates had their entire results also withheld. Now, subject results involving another 2,722 candidates from 229 schools were withheld for further security. And as I've told you before, the Education Ministry says, look, it will investigate all the issues that have come up, including the allegations of bias against the examiner, as far as the marking scheme for private schools are concerned. Let's have a quick chat with Obinfo Nanakwesi Jetua, who is Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools. Obinfo, I appreciate your time this afternoon, but this allegation you make, what informs it?
Thank you very much, my dear sister, and good evening to your viewers. This is not an allegation. This is factual statement that we are making based on the fact that we have evidences to support what we are saying. And the basis is that no one will be able to tell or account better than we on the students, better than we the students, we the private schools, that we have been with these students over 9 years or 3 years. In the sense that over the years, we have educated these people, we have conducted internal assessments, we have evaluated their performances, and we are in the good position to say whether or not the result that has been issued actually reflects their academic potencies or not. And so the fact that we are making is that the result that has been released, 2026 were BECE results that has been released, particularly in the private education space, does not entirely reflect the academic potencies and the academic performances of our students.
Obinfo, I hear you, but I do not hear what the evidence is that there is intentional markdown of private school candidates.
Okay, so prior to this exam, we had already conducted internal assessments such as mock. These students have already been subjected to municipal education, mock that they undertook. And the result that we had is a kind of reflection of their performance prior to the examination. As we speak now, there's no release of the script. We don't have the script. It is only a mark that has been given to us. And there's a bigger discrepancy between the mark which has been given to us and the wisdom, or let's say the knowledge we have on these students in terms of their academic performance over the years. And so we cannot rely only on the mark. It is up to WAEC to be able to release this script, which may be in correspondence to the mark, for us to know that yes, indeed, probably that reflects the academic performance. Until then, we stand by our position.
I see. So you say the marks that you have seen for, or the scores that you have seen for the students or the candidates from the private schools does not match their performance that you know. I want to bring in now Kofi Asare, who is Executive Director for Africa Education Watch. Kofi, how does this accusation against WAEC come to you? Is that even possible?
Well, I'm not sure I'm the right person to respond. Because the interested party here is WAEC. So, except to say that it is important to have the evidence and have it examined so that we can make a conclusive decision on whether or not some people were, unfairly treated. I must admit that this is about the fourth year running that EduWatch is confronted with such complaints from our private school friends. And so, even if it remains a perception, perhaps there could be something worthy of examining, in that perception. I keep saying that in advanced jurisdictions, assessment bodies have what we call regulatory bodies. They are the ones who set standards, enforce standards, and ensure that there's fairness in assessment. In the UK, for instance, if you go to UK, we have Ofqual. That's what Ofqual does. In Ghana, unfortunately, WAEC analytic assessment, CTVET analytic assessment, we have other international bodies all undertaking assessment in Ghana. But there is still no regulator for that space. So if candidates and schools have strong feelings that they've been unfairly treated in the marking process, they have no option than to appeal to the same WAEC that they are not comfortable with. And that flies in the face of the basics of institutional accountability. So EduWatch since 2019 have been calling on the Ministry of Education to establish a regulatory body to take care of all the assessment bodies in Ghana and ensure that, among others, apart from enforcing standards and setting them, when there are public complaints about unfair treatment, there will be a proper independent inquiry by an independent institution into such complaints, rather than the public having to report to the same, quote unquote, abuser, for want of a better word. So we are yet to hear from the Ministry of Education since 2019. We'll continue to urge the Ministry of Education to consider that very carefully.
Right.
Other than that, we will continue to have a situation where schools and candidates are dissatisfied with their results, and then they are left with no option than to report to the same agency that they are blaming for giving them, unfair results, which is not consistent with best practices in accountability.
Very well. And Kofi, I'm going to ask you to hold on now. I want to move on to Obenfo, because a little later we'll look generally at the examination system and whether or not, what kind of overhaul we might need, if we need it at all. But Obenfo, we know that the Education Ministry has said complaints that are officially brought to their notice will be investigated. So first, has the ministry been officially notified of these concerns that you have?
All right. So thank you very much. What we have done so far is that a petition has been written across the country, because it's an association. We needed all our regional reps and other individuals from various regions to attend their endorsement, which has been, put together as we speak now. By Friday, officially, we have notified the minister on this, visiting him on Friday, where Friday a formal petition will be submitted. Parliamentary Select Committee on Education has gotten a wing of our conversation and our complaint, and has officially put together an investigation team to meet both WAEC and private schools. But what we are looking at is that over the years, as Kofi has said, WAEC has enjoyed a sort of monopoly where such kind of complaints are not formally, put in place where you can go there and make a complaint. And so we are asking the ministry to set up an investigation body to be able to investigate this. Whether such will be, whether
I see.
such will be
When is this meeting taking place? The one you say the education minister, the education ministry has called.
Yes, so I've said that the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education has called and has put together an investigation team to meet both the private schools and then WAEC to look into the matter. However, we will also submit official petition to the Education Ministry by Friday.
I see. You wait till Friday before you send your concerns to the sector ministry. Why?
Well, that is what I said, that we are looking at a representative action, and so therefore we are now collating all our endorsements from the regions, and also ensuring that all proper stakeholders in this matter are involved. We want to jointly do it with the parent associations, because they are the most affected people as we speak now. We have also involved NUF, because the students' body is also affected. And so we need to do all these things and ensure that before we get to the ministry, we have fully been prepared and fully represented.
We'll see how that goes. But I'm going to finish off with Kofi Asare from Africa Education Watch. Kofi, the conversation around an independent examining body overhauling our examination system, even the grading system that we choose to use, has been rife, particularly post the release of the BECE results of 2026. As EduWatch, if we were to take any of these steps, what would be your recommendation? What's the best way to go?
Well, I think that assessment or external assessments, and in this case, BECE, is credible, not just based on the existence of a marking scheme or a marking system, but also the existence of significant public trust.
You know this my job, right? I forgot to interview.
So anytime you have candidates sit for examination and express misgivings about examination outcomes, those are not necessarily strange. In the UK, for instance, a couple of weeks ago, about 20,000 people who wrote the A-level paper went on demonstration that the paper was difficult. And it caused, some investigation to be done, whether the stress level of examination was consistent with what it ought to be. And so they petitioned the regulatory body. Over here, we don't have a regulatory body. I'll continue to say that when you have mechanisms that provide assurance and comfort to citizens that whenever they feel aggrieved, they are likely to get a fair hearing, it boosts confidence in the assessment system. Whether it's the grading system, whether it's a marking scheme, whatever the nature of one's issue with the results may be, we believe that the mechanisms that handle such disputes must inspire and assure citizens that they are likely to receive a fair outcome or a fair hearing. In the past, people have gone to church, some have gone to court. But you and I appreciate fully how long it takes to settle such matters in court. There are many people I know who went to Shraj, who had pronouncement by Shraj on cases that they felt unfairly treated at WAEC.
Right.
By the time WAEC pronouncement were out, tertiary admissions had been concluded, and this was worse. And so our administrative bodies and our courts, have very, very lengthy processes that do not necessarily provide justice. And that's why it's important that stakeholders emphasize the need for the Ministry of Education to establish an independent regulator for all assessment bodies. If you have issues, petition the assessment body. The body will conduct an impartial and independent investigation and pronounce. Instead of the Minister for Education having to establish ad hoc committees to investigate issues case by case. So let's build and let's strengthen the system so that the public will have confidence in the work of WAEC and also in our assessment system.
Very well. We'll leave it here, gentlemen. Thank you so much for your time. Kofi Asare is Executive Director for Africa Education Watch. Obinfo is also head of the private schools that are accusing WAEC of intentionally marking down private school candidates, for which reason he says that there will be a meeting, WAEC, NACA themselves, and then the Select Committee on Education. He also tells us that, look, by Friday, they'll send an official petition to the Education Ministry, because remember, I told you that the Education Ministry has made clear that officially notified concerns will be dealt with. Now, while we leave that subject, another one that is very close to home has to do with you, because Ghana's largest water treatment plant is shutting down soon. Ghana Water Limited says Kpong will shut down for 3 days to allow for routine maintenance works. Now, this means residents in parts of the Greater Accra and Eastern regions must brace for water shortages over the 3-day period starting August 6th and ending August 8th. Now, here's a quick look at areas to be affected by the water supply challenges. In Accra, we see places like Bechile, Ashaiman, Kantamanso, Zenu, Atadeka, Afienya, Apollonia, Pram, Kpong, Dowenya, Spintex, Bachuna, Sakumono, Nungwa, Teshin. And in the eastern region, the Kpong areas are Kuse, Somanya, and Atimpoku and surrounding areas. And it's important to take note of that, nearby communities as well. But let's get the very latest on this. Stanley Mate is Corporate Communications Manager for the Ghana Water Limited. Stanley, good afternoon to you. I appreciate your time. When you tell us that you're going on routine maintenance, what does it entail?
Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity. This time around, we are going to work on the main transmission pipelines from Kpong towards Tema. So the 21-inch pipeline and then a 42-inch transmission pipeline, and that transports water from Kpong treatment plant to Tema, our booster station. Will have to go under some repairs and some maintenance works. There are about some 300 meters of some deteriorated portions, and so we have to replace all the pipelines. Remember, a few months ago, we had gone around to identify all those places with our engineers, and then we have given out some funds for the fabrication of new pipes. That has been completed, and that is exactly what we are going to do now. So from Thursday, we'll shut down the treatment plant because water cannot run through the plant or the pipelines whilst we work on them. So what is going to happen is we are going to shut down the treatment plant. Then we can have some 2-3 days of changing the transmission pipelines. And then after we can start production again. So we'll start the period to ensure that we are able to complete the job ahead of schedule or maximum on schedule. Then we can start production again. We are hopeful that by Sunday there about, God willing, we should be able to finish and then we'll start production. So Sunday, the lines will have to charge again, pressures will have to build up so that people will start getting water on either on Sunday or on Monday. We'll also have to note that our rationing is still ongoing. So after Monday, the expectation is that we are going to have more water in the system, but we still have to go by our rationing. So on the days on which you get your water, you are still going to get the water. Yep.
Stanley, clarify for us when you say rationing. What should the public expect?
You know, in the eastern part of Accra, currently people do not get water 24/7. People get, for instance, areas like Teshin gets water on Thursdays and Fridays. Nungwa gets some part of Friday, Saturday, and then some time in Sunday. Other areas get on Monday and Tuesday and all that. That will continue. But expectation is that when we are done with this particular job, we should have more water in the system. So there'll be the pressures could be good, and then it could also extend further into some areas. So areas that have not been getting water for a long time, we are hopeful that when you are done with this job, they should be able to get some water.
Well, I was trying to get an explanation for how the public will then know that my water will come over that 3-day period or 3.5-day period. My water will come on this day or on that day, or whether or not there will be changes for people like those who live in Teshi.
Okay, so then it is not going to change. But what will change is that we expect more water to come into the system. So the pressure that we have currently will be higher, And then if we have higher pressure, which means that the water will also extend into other areas where hitherto they were not getting. But we are going to get water on the same number of days that we're getting the water.
I see. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much for talking to us. Stanley Mate is Corporate Communications Manager for Ghana Water Limited. We've just been looking at that 3-day shutdown of Ghana's largest water treatment plant. That is, we expect it to go offline on the 6th of August, return on the 8th. He says that there should be some allowance period that allows for the flow of water as we have known it. So here are the areas that should take note that they will have water shortages within that period. We have Bechile, Ashaiman, Katamanso, Zenu, Atadeka, Afienya, Apollonia, Prompram, Pung, and Dowenya. In the Tema metropolis, we see areas like Spintex, Bachuna, Sakumono, Nungwa, Teshi, and surrounding areas. There will also be in the eastern region at Impoku, Somanya, Akuse, and Pong areas as well. Now, that water situation leads us to business. Michael Obodu is here with the very latest. Hi, Michael.
Hi there, and straight into it. The city records losses on the interbank market as Databank warns of pressure ahead despite Bank of Ghana's support of $1 billion into the forex market. We have details of this and many other stories lined up for you. Welcome to the business segment here on Daily Brief. Let's bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market. The dollar is selling for 11 cedis 69 pesos, the pound for 15 cedis 74 pesos, and the euro is going for 13 cedis 46 pesos. I'll be guided that these figures will be much higher at a forex bureau near you. We'll bring you updates also from the commodity front on cocoa, gold, and crude oil. Well, crude oil first off is down by some $3.16. It's trading at $80.61 per barrel. Exciting news for us here because that means that prices are likely to dip a bit at the pumps. Gold is up by $22.48. It's trading at $4,076 per ounce, but cocoa has lost some $60. It's trading at $5,879 per ton. Let's bring you updates across the globe now in 60 seconds. Updates across the globe there, but to our big story, and the Ghana cedi has recorded modest losses against major foreign currencies in the interbank market over the past 2 weeks, despite continued support from the Bank of Ghana. A new report by Databank Research says the local currency remains relatively stable in the retail market, but could face mild pressures in the weeks ahead. Let's walk you through some numbers to give you a better perspective about what's happening. And from the data we've gathered between July 20 and 31, 2026 on the interbank market, we've seen some 0.47% loss in the strength of the cedi against the US dollar. However, it's even more significant when it comes to the pound. It's at 1.36%, but worse with the euro at 1.58%. And this is on the interbank market. But then on the retail market, the slip is rather quite marginal, lower than you see on the interbank market. It's at 0.21% for the US dollar, and the pound and the euro have relatively stayed the same. Interesting developments there. And we see On month-on-month basis, between last month and this month, the cedi has depreciated by some 2.91% against the US dollar, which is also a contributing factor to the hike in fuel prices that we are experiencing. And all of this is despite the injection of some $1 billion into the foreign exchange market by the central bank. And of course, a lot of people have pinned this largely on the hike in global crude prices and the price of fuel, which has increased the demand for dollars to import the same level of fuel that would have needed a couple of months back. But then still on the central bank, as it has tightened conditions for financing distressed businesses, as the governor orders banks to cut bad loans to 10% by end of 2026 to safeguard financial stability. Now, the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama, has directed banks to tighten credit assessment for distressed businesses, insisting that only commercially viable firms with credible restructuring plans should qualify for post-commencement financing under Ghana's insolvency law.
The industry's non-performing loans ratio, this declined to 16.1% as at end June this year, compared to over 23% a year ago, while the capital adequacy ratio stood at 20.4%. Capital of that order is what gives a bank the room to take considered risks. But that is progress and not sufficiency. And 16.1% remains too high, even if it is fully provisioned. Our regulatory measures require each regulated institution to reduce its ratio to no more than 10% by the end of December this year.
Now, finance expert and chief executive officer of Daylex Finance, Joe Jackson, has called on the Bank of Ghana to do everything possible to retain its autonomy. Speaking on the need to sustain recent economic gains, Mr. Jackson said government must demonstrate commitment to monetary and fiscal discipline.
According to the Daylex Finance boss, keeping monetary and fiscal discipline is key to transforming the current stability into inclusive growth and improved living standards for Ghanaians. His comments come amid calls for stronger coordination between fiscal and monetary policy to anchor macroeconomic stability.
Even the debt destruction is not completely done. There's some commercial debt issues that must be tackled. So let us not think that everything is okay. It is not. And the Bank of Ghana must retain its independence. We must not pressure the Honorable Kassil Atufosin to spend. Least of all, we must not pressure Dr. Esiama to loosen the purse strings. We must keep the discipline.
Jackson has warned that Ghana's biggest risk right now is complacency. He said the ultimate danger facing the country is getting comfortable simply because economic indicators are pointing in the right direction.
Comfortable with our recovery, comfortable with what we've done so far, and thinking that we can let loose. And the state-owned enterprises, they are still dangerous. So they are still sucking up tons of money. We shouldn't let them go. And stability is not prosperity. It must be delivered. So ultimately, it is the private sector that must be encouraged. When we encourage the private sector, that means that we can deliver prosperity without losing the discipline of the government.
Sustaining the gains will require continued discipline from both government and the Bank of Ghana. Policy consistency and avoiding a false sense of security are crucial to translating the current stability into inclusive growth and improved living standards.
And that'll be all for the business segment on Daily Brief. Over to you, Kamini.
Oh, thank you, Michael. We see that cocoa is doing well there, right?
Exactly. And some interesting developments there since the passage of the bill. I don't know what you have in stock for this.
We're going to talk about the cocoa bill.
Let's hear it.
Now, this afternoon, The new Ghana Cocoa Board bill is seeing fresh pushback. You recall that before going on vacation, Parliament passed the bill meant to provide a comprehensive reform for cocoa sector governance. Now, accordingly, Ghana Cocoa Board will regulate, oversee, and monitor activities across the cocoa value chain. Well, let's hear Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Ampemnyakon explain the rationale for the new bill.
Bill is seeking to do a number of things. We all know that for 32 years, Cocoa Board relied on the syndicated loan structure to finance cocoa purchases in this country. But following the mismanagement of the economy that led to our debt restructuring, Cocoa Board could not access syndicated loans again. That forced Cocoa Board to resort to the buyer-led funding model. This bill is coming out with a new funding model that will let Cocoa Board source for funding locally to purchase our cocoa beans from our hard-working farmers. This new bill is bringing out a new arrangement where the beans will be available for our local processing companies. And the bill is saying that at least 50% of our cocoa produced here should be produced, in fact, should be processed locally to add value and to create jobs for our people. Apart from the policy announcement that government has made that we want 70%, a minimum of 70% of FOB price of cocoa to go to the local farmers who are sweating to produce the beans, we should go further to legislate this so that it becomes very binding for nobody to get up tomorrow and say, oh, we said 70%, but today we are doing 60%. Mr. Speaker, the bill is seeking to actually protect our cocoa farms and environment. Apart from helping children of cocoa farms, we want the scholarship scheme to have another added advantage of promoting courses that will help our children also contribute to improvement in the cocoa sector. So courses like agronomy, soil science, and others that will benefit the cocoa sector are being prioritized. It doesn't mean if a child of cocoa farmer is pursuing law or engineering, that child will not be supported. That is not the case. What we are doing is to consolidate all the laws.
And there are some great things if you reach that bill. Among those things, it will support cocoa cultivation, undertake buying, selling, and export of cocoa, and promote value addition. It also introduced a new arrangement to ensure that cocoa beans are available for local processing, which is what the minister refers to. So let's show you a bit more of the great stuff in the cocoa bill just before we get onto the controversial issues. A minimum of 70% of the gross free onboard price, at least half or 50% of Ghana's cocoa beans to be processed locally. You remember this now is entrenched as in the bill, because remember that government had already taken an initiative after we had the situation with pricing and a bit of a glut. Government decided that 50% of all that was available should be processed locally. Now there will be, once it is assented to, a law behind that. Cocoa farms will receive 500-meter protection from mining and other environmentally disruptive activities. Very important for the cocoa farmers, particularly those who have lost their lands to illegal mining and other form of extraction from the land. Now, cocoa sector debts must be separated from Cocoa Board's current operational finances. Very important step for Cocoa Board. Cocoa farmers and cocoa farms must be registered under the cocoa management system. A digital system will track cocoa and farm inputs from the farms through purchasing, transportation, processing, and export. We also see a contributory pension scheme will be established for the cocoa farmers. Now, let's talk about the licensing issue, because that is generating a bit of a conversation, because a person or company must obtain a Cocoa Board license before purchasing, aggregating, warehousing, transporting, processing, or undertaking other commercial activities involving cocoa. operating without a license constitutes an offense. There's a bit more on some of the issues that have generated conversation. For instance, Cocoa Board must maintain a register showing license holders, license categories, duration, and status. Notices of licenses issued, suspended, restored, or revoked must also be published. Then there is a bit more. I want us to look at those controversial issues, if you rightly so. Authorized Cocoa Board inspectors may enter buying centers, warehouses, storage facilities, processing plants, vehicles, vessels, and other premises used for cocoa-related activities. What does this mean? If you are in the cocoa value chain or you are a cocoa farmer, they could just come in and inspect your facility, your farm, at will. Inspectors may demand licenses and permits, inspect cocoa and farm inputs, and examine or copy records, documents, and electronic data. They must identify themselves and state the purpose of the inspection. A police officer accompanied by a Cocoa Board inspector may stop and search a vehicle, vessel, or other means of transport without a warrant where there are reasonable grounds to suspect an offense. Now, we're running out of time, so let me bring in my guest now. Ataisa is the very first one. He's Sagnarugu MP. He's also a member of the Finance Committee, one of a few committees that perused this bill before it was passed. Honorable, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time here on the Daily Brief. We are looking at the cocoa bill, and I believe the committee must have thought that this was a very good bill.
So let me say good evening to you and to your cherished listeners. What I would say is that Cocoa Board Bill 2026 should be analyzed in a very comprehensive institutional and financial and regulatory set of our Ghana cocoa sector. What we usually have are fragmented and aging cocoa board. If you remember, the existing legislation that we have, that's the PNDC 81, was enacted in 1984. What this bill seeks to do is to identify the pathway or the issues that we've identified having operated the same legislation for the last 32 years. So the bill offers us an opportunity to consolidate all other amendments and legislation that have been done on Cocoa Board. We have done series of amendments. Every government has come, identify a challenge, and do an amendment on it. So the intention behind this bill seeks to, first of all, liberalize the internal cocoa purchasing arrangements. We also intend to make sure that we modernize the license buying company systems so that we can always track cocoa purchases as a result of traceability.
Right.
We are also introducing through the bill to intensify the acquisition of digital technology to ensure that we are able to monitor cocoa purchases and cocoa exports. And then Cocoa Board now, as part of its CUSA fiscal mandate, is now included to protect climate, environment, and sustainability standards. When you look at all these things, it gives you an important indicator that Ghana is ready to take it to the next level. At the bottom line of this are the cocoa farmers. Government is introducing the living income differential to always make sure that we protect the farmers, even when they are hit by external sector performances. And then finally, we are also, as a government, through this new bill, is interested in making sure that we encourage value addition and industrialization, because you can't be promoting 24 hours when you don't want to industrialize as sectors where you have the competitive advantage. Now, let me just use a few minutes to take you through some major improvements over the existing Cocoa Board structure. If you look at, there is now a clearer statutory mandate. If you look at the clause 1 to clause 3, if you remember, as at the end of 2024, Cocoa Board was indebted to a tune of 32 billion Ghana cedis, if you remember. And out of the 32 billion Ghana cedis, over 21 billion Ghana cedis was attributed to cocoa rules. This is a quasi-fiscal function. It is not the primary job or mandate of Ghana Cocoa Board. We have the Minister of Roads and Highways that is mandated to increase access routes in all farming centers and not Cocoa Board. So now there is a clear mandate stated in this bill. Clause 1 to Clause 3 establish Cocoa Board as a corporate body and define its objective to include ensure daily efficient and sustainable development of the cocoa sector, protect farmers and consumers and other stakeholders, promote quality, integrity, safety and traceability, and promote local content and Ghanaian participation. These are the few of the clarity that has been brought to the mandate of Cocoa Board, considering the fact that a lot of reforms have to be done. Now, if you look at the previous one, what was the protection mechanism that was done to get closer fiscal expenditure? Now, the bill has introduced strongest reforms in Clause 4. And with your permission, it says, it prevents Cocoa Board from undertaking activities unrelated to cocoa regulations, development, marketing, and quality assurance or export, taking over the statutory responsibilities of another ministry, like I indicated earlier, where Cocoa Board was now doing the work of the ministries. The third also improvement that I see is now what we call it's a clear ministerial interventions. In the past, you see a certain government will come, Cocoa Board will come under Ministry of Trade and Industry, Agriculture. Another government will come and place Cocoa Board under the Ministry of Finance. Another government will come and place Cocoa Board under the Ministry of Trade. What government wants to do is to discontinue this type of trend and consolidate all the trade ministries into one, so that they are trial authority supervising the mandate of Ghana Cocoa Board, so that we can leverage on the technical expertise of the various ministries and direct.
Very well. So this is targeted, Honorable, towards transformation of the cocoa sector to tackle some of the problems that have been plaguing the sector for years now. Let's hear from the cocoa farmers whether or not they are happy with the outcome of this. We're joined now by Nana Obuadie Opambo II. Nana, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time here on the program. Nana,
good evening. It's Farmer General. That is the title of it. So Farmer General and not Obuadie Opambo II.
Thank you very much, Father General. How do the farmers feel about the cocoa bill?
Yeah, well, we are very happy and very excited, and even we even intend to march on the street of the whole country just to show appreciation to Cocoa Board and then the kind of wonderful CEO that we've had in the history of Ghana. Dr. Wandihabi has made a history. I mean, the engagement alone with the farmers, with the stakeholders, and then the kind of bill that it has been passed, I think it is the right way that is going to help us. As I'm speaking to you, when you go to a place like Etikasu in the eastern region, a whole mile square of cocoa plantation was just destroyed. They just destroyed the whole cocoa without any law that is protecting it. We made series of complaints with police and other things. The former IGP Dan Parry is a witness to this, because I called him and told him that this is what was happening. Nobody talks about this, not even Parliament.
Right.
So we are so excited that this bill is a bill that is going to protect the farmer himself or herself, and at the same time to help the industry grow better than before.
Very well. So, Father General, what input did the farmers make into this bill?
All the things or the bill, what the bill is saying, it is not from Cocoa Board. It is from farmers themselves. Because one, the CEO was on the field engaging farmers to know their challenges. Apart from that, we the concerned farmers also went to the field also to talk to the farmers to know some of them their concern, talking about this destruction of cocoa and other things. If you can go back a little bit, I've been the only person, or our organization are the only organization in this country that has been putting pressure on Cocoa Board and even government about the destruction of cocoa. Parliament put wax in their ears, not even to talk about it.
I see.
So farmers have a strong input. Before then, the CEO of Cocoa Board engaged the farmers across the whole country for them also to bring their input.
And this was before the passage of the bill?
Exactly. So it is not something like Cocoa Board just sit somewhere and then come out with a bill like that. No.
Very well.
It is from us. The bill is from we, the farmers. It is our input. They use it for the bill.
I see. Nana, we understand there was a meeting between cocoa farmers and Cocoa Board yesterday. Were you present at this meeting?
I was part of it. Every meeting, I was part of it. I was part of it, and the meeting was very successful. It was about bills. It was about some of our challenges that we are facing and some things that we don't even understand in a way that they let we understand. So, Cocoa Board, at first, the problem is, at first, we have Kokoshi. And Kokoshi was the only organization that Cocoa Board knew on the board. And every discussion that Cocoa Board would do, it is only Kokoshi that Cocoa Board deal with. And Cocoa Board too don't go to the grassroots for the farmers to know what is happening. So at the end of the day, I have been fighting Cocoa Board blindly all because Kokoshi don't go to the truth for which to know what was happening. But this time around, with the new leadership, Dr. Randiabe, it is not only Kokoshi alone. It is all board, every organization that matters. And even CSOs and other things, every organization, society organization, everybody was part of the meeting.
Very well.
Send Ghana, whatever, everybody is part of it.
But this meeting was only yesterday, Nana. I want us to pay attention to certain parts of the bill, Honorable, and I'll bring you in here because sections of cocoa farmers have raised concerns about the clauses on inspections. For instance, this says at clause 73 that it empowers an inspector to enter premises where cocoa or an input is produced, purchased, processed, stored, or traded. It doesn't end there. When you move on to 74 and 75, Honorable, it says that it also provides for powers of search and seizure under warrant and search without warrant, respectively. Honorable, when your committee reviewed this, what was the reading of how this could play out side by side, the rights of these farmers?
And that cocoa is the strong pillar to Ghana's economy. And as such, we must, as a country, protect every crop that produces enough reserves for us, that also promotes farmer participation and improve their well-being. Over the years, what we have observed as a country is that cocoa farmers have largely now been turned into a galamsey site. So people get the farms, then they use it as a means to do illegal mining. So one of the concerns was preservation of cocoa farms. When you do the opportunity cost between gold and cocoa, most people feel like gold gives quick and immediate cash, unlike cocoa that takes period to do. And because this is a natural crop that God has given us to improve the well-being of our people in the country.
But Honorable, is that reason enough to empower inspectors to intrude on people's farms, warehouses, and facilities where cocoa is available?
Just to do proper declarations and then to monitor the activities of cocoa farmers. There's a report that was done by the NIMOS, and if you observe, Ghana, many cocoa farms were turned into galamsey sites. Now, in the issue of the warehouse, if you remember, there was an issue where an LBC and PBC had an issue where the LBC said they were using the warehouse of PBC without payment. And as a result of that, they haven't been able to pay those cocoa farmers from Volta region, if you remember. Part of the reason is because our warehousing regime has been poor. In fact, last week, we passed legislation on customs that seeks to promote warehousing and warehousing.
Honorable, I see the problem, but when we empower inspectors alongside the police to go to farms at will, seize or arrest farmers or people in the value chain, what were the checks and balances to ensure or prevent abuse of that power?
So these are the new introductions that has just come. We may not be able to predict the weaknesses in the process until we roll it out. We have been trying a specific mandate for 32 years and it hasn't worked. This is a paradigm shift that we are trying to start with. And I'm sure that once we begin rolling it out, if there are challenges with it, I'm sure government will be in the understanding that we have to work on it.
Very well. I'm out of time, gentlemen. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much. Ataisa is Sagnagorugu Sagnerugu MP. He's also a member of the Finance Committee. Earlier was Father General Nana Obuadie. I apologize. Father General Nana Obuadie Bonsu Boateng II. He himself a cocoa farmer. I am Kemeni Amano. This is the Daily Brief, and you have been briefed.
Celebration of life. Chief mourners. Osajifo Amwetia for a penny the second. Ochihini Nana Educhimwa Dokua Ochihima. Osaberima Mafu Okabrani. Chebi Adontinghini. Nana Kwesi Omenakun the second. Asuna Hini Ekrapim. Osaberima Aye Kofi the third. Suhum Hini, Nana Obin, Suhum Jas Hini, Ochiami Oboy, Suhum, Achiami Hini, Ebushapeni Kwakupra, Suhum, Matilda, Dokuvi, Matisku, Openi Ofei, Opi Chum, Berima Kofi Bonsu, Ochiami Edward Kwabena Omenaku Hini, Nana Akufu Boafu, Jas Hini, Nana Yawabu, Ankobia Hini, Omenaku, Nana Bequeen. Omenakun Asfohini, Reverend Akun Akufu Nankesi, Right Reverend Dennis